Life Audio.
Today I'll talk about that. John reveals his least favorite candy and learns what beloved TV special killed the aluminum Christmas tree industry. Meanwhile, I have lunch with some comedian pals and tell the tale of the pet rock craze of the 1970s. Plus a conversation about red flags, toxic people, and how weaponized therapy talk has led to a loneliness epidemic. Today's episode is not sponsored by Trail Mix. It's the healthiest way to eat a pound of M&Ms.
Well, Jonnie, it's that time of year. It's Christmas time in the Talk About That City.
It's Christmas time in the city.
You know, I used to sing so many goofy songs when Sadie was really little. And I asked her the other day, she doesn't remember any of them. Because I would say it's Christmas time in the Sadie.
Oh, that's nice.
You know, I had so many little things that were so creative and...
Ring-a-ling.
That's quite the vibrato you got.
I'm telling you, buddy. I've got
this guy.
I think that's the thing is like those old ladies in the church, like Joey Aiello, my buddy, used to talk about that. Like the old ladies in your church had that natural vibrato. They could just make great is thy faithfulness.
It's always how great thou art. It's always the one. How great thou art. It's
it's warbly.
If you get to that big finish and how great thou art, still
you gotta love it.
I get that. No, I get the heebie-jeebies on it.
Oh, you
it's
do?
Just too many.
Even like the Carrie Underwood version, where she like them.
You know,
it's pretty good, right?
I don't know, man. Carrie Underwood to me.
Carrie Underwood's here. Carrie, come on in. John wants to say something. He's got a bone to pick.
I think she's amazing. I don't know. It's maybe again.
So I had lunch yesterday
with Carrie Underwood.
Almost as important. If you're talking about this time of year, and you told me to ask him this. Okay, so I had lunch. This randomly happened. So I had a lunch with Andrew Stanley, who's my friend, who's a comedian, who is the grandson of Charles Stanley, son of Andy Stanley, and he's a comedian. So it's he's quite a departure.
Yeah, he's got quite the
quite an interesting lineage.
Yeah,
but he's a great comic, and so. We were going to have lunch together because he was in Nashville to do a showcase and a corporate. And so he's like, I'm in town. I go, let's get lunch. So we were planning on it. And then out of the blue, because I connected with Mark Lowry in October at this event we did, who's like the OG Christian comedian.
Right.
Like, I mean, from like 86 on, he was doing stand-up in churches. And then would do all this youth stuff, youth. And then he always says that, and then Bill Gaither saw him and dumped him into a sea of geriatrics. And he goes, and that's where I've been ever since. So his whole audience is just older people. But he loves them. And now he's an old person himself. So he's just like, he's in hog heaven. But anyway, he texts me and goes, what are you doing? Are you in town? My bus is parking in Hendersonville for a couple of days. So if you're in town, let's get lunch or something. I go, well, I'm actually having lunch tomorrow with another comedian or two. I'm having some friends get together. And he goes, oh. I go, just come along. He goes, are you serious? Like, he was so excited because he doesn't hang out with comics. Right. His whole place is like, his whole world is like musicians and Southern gospel guys.
He's the only comedian in his world, right?
Yeah. So he just craves that community. And so I loved it so much because he's like a little kid still. He's so fun. Yeah. He's so fun and curious and is a great listener. And so we've become fast friends. But anyway, he immediately was like, who's going to be there? And so I told him, Andrew Stanley, and he immediately Googles him. And he goes, this guy's hilarious. Then I go, Rick Roberts, who's my friend, who's a mentor of mine. And he goes, I'm watching his dry bar right now. He's so excited, all caps. Like, he's so excited. And so he showed up early at lunch and we're talking. But you asked me, you go, if you're having lunch with Mark Lowry, you got to ask him, like, is this time of year, like, unbelievable for you with the royalties?
Like, are you picking up the tab?
He wrote Mary Did You Know?
Yeah.
The most, like, iconic Christmas song. The original Christmas song.
It has to be the past 30 years.
It's unbelievable.
Easy, yeah.
Which I think he said he wrote it in 84, which I did not know this. You know, he only wrote the lyrics. Buddy Green wrote the music for it.
Really?
Yeah. So Buddy Green wrote the music. So they're both kind of cashing it. But anyway, I did ask him at lunch because you go, ask him what this year time of year is like.
I was just kidding.
I said, don't get a number, but ask him. And I go, hey, he wants to know, like, is this everything we think? And he goes, he put down his fork and he goes, cha-ching, which was the best. Which I always like it when people will admit that they're doing it, because people always want to diffuse it. No, it's not what you think. It's a lot of taxes, blah, blah, blah.
I put my pants on one leg at a time, just like you.
I have my robot put my pants on for me, just like everybody else.
I put my gold pants on. Okay.
Yeah, but anyway, he's doing okay this time of year. But that was so fun getting to hang out with him. And, of course, I put the photo out. People were commenting, being like, Lowry, did you know? It was like a whole thing. People were making little songs. Jonnie, did you know that blah, blah, blah.
It seems to me that he's the kind of guy that's not bothered by being so well known for something like that.
You know what?
Seems grateful to me.
I'm one of these guys, when I first meet somebody, I kind of make an idealized version of them. It's hard for me not to do that.
Yeah.
And then as you get to know them, you're like, you start to see like the little flaws and stuff. And you're like, oh, this is interesting. His personality gets more rounded out. So I am definitely like vulnerable to that. But I will say, from the interactions I've had with him, which I spent almost 2 hours with him yesterday, he seems very at peace with himself.
Yeah.
And I really like that in a person.
Yeah.
Like, I don't like overly confident people.
Right.
Like, supremely certain and confident people really are unsettling to me.
Yeah.
Because I just don't understand how you even do art. Like, you need to have confidence in, like, I have confidence in my art the way you would have confidence in a bridge that you've built.
Yeah.
Like, I've walked across it enough to know it's not going to fall.
But you may not want to drive.
Yeah, but I would never be like, but I'll step off the bridge and I'll just take this bold move and there'll be a bridge that will appear. Like, I don't have that kind. There are people who have that kind of confidence. They're like, I've built this bridge, now I can just take this wild leap and there'll be a net underneath me. I don't feel that. I feel confidence in the bridge I've built. So when I see people who are unnaturally confident in every move they make, it's very unsettling to me. But I do love people who are at peace with themselves and what they've built and what they've made, and they don't feel like they're still churning underneath.
How are we friends?
I don't know.
Because you just described to me. No, it's interesting. We said it, I think, last episode, someone recently told me that the opposite of faith is not doubt. The opposite of faith is certainty.
Okay. Yeah.
Which is such an interesting idea, because when you're certain, you believe the wrong thing.
Yeah.
Well, like in faith, you're believing something that you can't see, and that you're, in certainty, you're believing something that you think you can see.
And it's like faith, hope, love, the greatest of these is love. And it's like, all these will pass away except for love. And it's like, you said that one time to me. You said, well, yeah, when we get to heaven, we won't need hope anymore.
Yeah.
Because you've accomplished.
You're not waiting for it anymore.
You're not waiting for it anymore. So you don't need hope. You don't need faith, because your faith has been confirmed.
Yeah,
your faith
seeing
has been,
what you couldn't see. Yeah.
You're seeing the fruit of it. So we'll still have love, though love is this eternal thing. But like, yeah, it's hard to imagine it. So yeah, I don't know. I try to be at peace with what I'm building while also pushing farther and trying to get the most out of the sponge. I'm trying to squeeze the sponge at this point and get the most out of my gift. But when I see somebody who's been doing it his whole life, and you go, oh, this person feels like he's kind of at peace with his legacy and where he's at and what he's doing now, and he still seems to love his audience. Yeah. Like, he talked about he was talking to me and John Christ about, he goes into the audience and like tells jokes to people. He goes, I can't wait to get out there. He goes, I have a follow spot that follows me into the audience, and the camera moves and goes. Wow. It's on the screen. And me and John Christ are looking at him like, this is the most terrifying thing I could think of, is to go into the audience and just like go out on a limb and like tell an old story to some person who's just there, who's a stranger. But he doesn't see them that way. That's what makes him the most excited about his show. And I was like, what an interesting alien thing to me.
It is. And you know, what's so funny, all the data even, and I'm writing a book for a guy right now, and it's talking about digital health, but also like the process, even what the social sciences say in research about connection with other people.
Yeah.
And that's what's so interesting, is how we've gotten away from human connectivity being what actually brings us a sense of fulfillment.
Yeah.
And so when we get it in I don't want to call it all fake if it's online, but if nothing else, it is, I think,
it's like synthetic,
diluted. You know, right? You're getting maybe interaction with a person, but you're not getting the same. And those, I think, who really harness it, and this guy I'm writing for is the same kind of way. He's the kind of guy with a whole part called Delta Diaries, because he's flying a lot to speak and doing TED Talks and stuff. And he's like, if you sit next to me on a plane, I don't really care if you have headphones in or not. Like, I'm going to try to connect with you.
Right. Interesting.
And then he'll send me pictures like, hey, I just met these people, and he'll get their life story.
Yeah.
And he has these, he calls it generative dialogue.
Okay.
Where instead of just like, hey, what do you do for a living? It's more like, hey, what is it that you're most excited about? Or what are you most proud about in your life in the last 30 days?
He'll ask a stranger that?
Yeah.
Wow.
Like, or how do you spend your day? Like, instead of saying, what do you do for a living? How do you spend your days? Yeah. And so like they get something broader, and they'll start sharing. And by the end, it's not for everybody. He's like, he gets it. But yeah. But and it's so like, 'cause as an introvert, it's so like, and he'll say, sometimes I'll put my headphones in and have to write, or I'll watch a movie or something. But he gets energy from connecting with people. And
I think everybody does to some degree. It's just that they get out of the habit of it. Right. It's like, but like you said, it's synthetic. The online version is a synthetic version. It's like, I had a friend not a friend of a friend who was coming off of, they had an addiction to OxyContin, and it was a friend's sister. And they go on methadone, which is how you come off of heroin. Yeah. So it's like, it's a synthetic, but it's got a lower level of addiction. Yeah. But you're still kind of on the methadone, and they were on the methadone for years. You're supposed to taper off, and they could not taper off the methadone. But it's like, you don't really get high. It just takes away the sickness. Like, you don't get the high like you would from a heroin hit or from OxyContin hit, the opioid. But you're getting like, I don't feel like I have the flu all day. Right. So I think that's what the online version of connection feels like. It's like, well, it feels close enough. Right. And I don't have to take the risks. And it's conditioning us to not go out. And like he said that, Mark said that yesterday. He goes, do you guys get together all the time? Like I think he thought there's some league of comics that he's missed out on. Mm-hmm. And we always get together. And now he got to be a part of it. And I go, no. I don't even like these guys. No, I go, this was all happenstance. And I said, some of them are here because they heard you were going to be here. And they wanted to meet you. I said, once you added, I was like, it was easy for me to go, hey, Rick, do you want to come? Mark Lowry's coming. And he was like, are you kidding? And they all came. And so it's like, we all have this vision of like what the community looks like. But it was fun to kind of participate in that and see it. And like you said, it's not this synthetic version of it. Jason Pargin, who's one of my favorite content creators, he talked about how like the closest thing to a conspiracy theory that he believes in is that right now we're being conditioned to dehumanize each other online so that we only seek connection online. Like when he goes, whenever you see a video, it's always, the advice is always like, this person's a red flag, or this is a toxic person, how to cut these people out of your life. Right. He goes, every other article is about that. He goes, these are dehumanizing terms. Yeah. So that it makes us only think that the only safe place is behind a screen. It also conditions you to think that the loneliness you feel is normal. Right. Right. And that if you just get more of it, the World Health Organization has basically said loneliness is now a global pandemic. Like this is a different, we're in I think they call it an epidemic. Sorry. I'm not sure the major differences. My wife is screaming right now. It's okay. But like this idea that I can cut people out. And I'm not, guys, obviously there's a time and a place. Yeah, that's the thing is people are afraid to even make those statements because they're afraid. People are like, well, you don't understand. My father-in-law abused me. We're not talking about that. Right. We're talking about like if somebody chews loud with their food or your mom is annoying. Yeah, everybody's mom is annoying. Guess what? So are you. But he goes, there's a thing of like making your idiosyncrasies like sacred. Yeah. And if somebody can't handle me at my worst, then you don't deserve me at my best. But when they're annoying, you go, you're toxic now. That's the part of it that's conditioning us to be very alone. Yeah. And it's I saw it again yesterday, using the therapy language as a reason to have someone to blame versus to have the tools to change. Yeah. It's all supposed to be the tools for you to change, not for you to try to change others. Yeah, because you can't, guess what? You can't change others. No. It's exhausting. Listen, I told Sadie the other day, we were talking about it, and it was one of these like little aphorisms in my head of like, look, there'll be a lot of things in life that you're going to be able to change, and none of them will be people. Yeah, there's an old therapy term that I read in the book one time, and it said, no matter how much you want it to, their cat won't bark. Yeah. Like you can't make their cat bark. They are what they are, and you have to change. You either adapt to it. Now, obviously, if there's somebody toxic and you feel like they're destructive and all that, that's not what we're talking about. Again, feels like we have to keep giving that qualifying statement. But it's like, if you go, I'm not going home for Thanksgiving because they're all toxic, it's like, you know what? You're probably toxic too. You know, like there's toxic things about all of us.
Right. There's got to be and there are consequences to actions. And I think the holidays is an interesting time.
It is. The thing I read the other day that I thought was cool, the big summation, is people that put up walls versus boundaries. Like people use boundaries. That's a big therapy term. But I never heard it really described this way. They said a wall is something you put up that says you can't get to me. A boundary shows them where the door is.
Right.
I really like that.
Yeah.
Because that's true. That says, hey, here's the boundary. There's a way, though. There's a way forward, Mom. If you've said an offensive thing to my child, or you've said things, or I've decided that whatever past pain you've put me through, there's still a doorway. Whether it's I forgive you, you forgive me, we move on, or let's talk around this, let's get forward. But it's like if you just put up a wall, you've decided like that person's out of my life forever. That's not a way forward, really.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, and I think, again, the caveat always remains, right, that, we're there are things that can be done that can make it where, okay, we're not going to see each other for a long time or whatever.
And you're talking about me.
Yeah, absolutely. But there's a door here, Johnny.
There is a door.
And oddly enough, that door leads through our ads. I couldn't believe it when they told me.
Hey, go through this door with us, dear listener, and let's hear a few words from our fine sponsors.
And we're back, Johnny.
We got deep there.
It went really deep, really fast.
I think we have solved it, though.
I do. I think everybody walked away. Some people, listen, honestly, heading into the holidays, that could have really given some people extra anxiety.
Yeah.
Because this is a time. Like my therapist and I
definitely don't want to accuse somebody of just being like, you're giving up on your family if you feel like you've got real past trauma. I'm really not talking to that person. I think hopefully you know what I'm talking about.
Well, let me say this. I'll do this in 30 seconds. I'll do this in 60 seconds.
Oh, boy.
Like in 12-step recovery, there's 3 different steps that we all think of outside of that world as one. And we think of forgiveness and reconciliation and amends all as one thing, and it's not. Forgiveness in the 12-step world is something you don't have to have the other person around to do, because it's between, in the Christian side, it's between you and God. You can forgive them and you can deal with all that. Then amends is something that's just it's just you to them. It's not, you don't expect a return necessarily, and you do not acknowledge what they have done. Even if they started it or you have all these reasons that are valid, once you've forgiven, then you have to make amends for what you've done wrong.
Right.
But you don't say, hey, I did this because you did this. Even if it's valid, you just own only your part. Not their part, just only your part, but you own it fully and unapologetically. Well, it is apologetically. But it's not for the sake of getting it.
It's not transactional.
Those 2 things you're supposed to do, forgiveness and amends. The third one, which is reconciliation, which is one of the final steps, that may not happen.
Yeah.
And you accept that because reconciliation requires both parties to come to the table and to be willing to actually acknowledge all the things. And so they have to own their part in order for reconciliation to happen, and you want to own yours. But the key to health is you have to be open to reconciliation. So it may not happen, but you have to at least have, like you said, have a door. Now, I think timing matters, right? You can't just, because you have to then give them the respect of going through their own process, and then knowing they may never get there. And so I think that may help a little bit as you head in. But actually, my quote for today may help a little bit heading into the Christmas season.
We need help.
It may not sound like a Christmas quote, but Johnny, I think it may help. It's my segment we call They Talked About That. Dallas Willard, can't ever go wrong.
No.
I have my staples, you know this. So
Clive Staples.
I do have Clive Staples. The process of spiritual formation, thus understood, the processes of spiritual formation, thus understood, require precise, testable, thorough knowledge of the human self. Psychological and theological understanding of the spiritual life must go hand in hand. Neither of them is complete without the other. A psychology that is Christian in the sense of a comprehensive understanding of the facts of spiritual life and growth should be a top priority for disciples of Jesus, particularly those who work in the various fields of psychology and who consider it an intellectual and practical discipline. No understanding of the human self can be theoretically or practically adequate if it does not deal with the spiritual self. So I was thinking about people heading into the holidays because, like, my therapist, who's a friend of mine as well, it's like, man, his phone is blown up.
Oh, I'm sure.
During these times.
It's got to be.
It brings out all of these crises. And I think that, and this is pretty revolutionary for a guy who was older, a theologian who was older, to say, hey, we got to deal with the marriage of our spirituality with our psychology and not try to silo them, right? That I can't have a thorough understanding of myself or the human self if I'm not dealing with both sides. And even because they're really not two sides, they're actually together. I think that the modern desire to categorize our various selves as being independent from the other leads to this sort of lack of health, like physiologically, which would be how your body and your psychology go together. It's so important to have an understanding that you have a mind, but it is contained in a brain, which is an organ of your body. Yeah. Right? And so brain health and mental health are connected. Yeah. It's not just, and I've really, going through, I think the last 10 years or so, I really looking back over youth ministry and all the times, I think we loved kids well. It's not that, but my lack of understanding about the mental health side of things that is chemical or that is neurological or that is a neural pathway, and recognizing that what is reflected in our spirituality about, hey, believing the right things, believing what God says about you and not what your worst thoughts say about you, recognizing that that's not separate from the fact that if you take brain waves of those things, that it will also prove to be true on the scientific side, that a wrong belief over time creates literally like a ditch in your brain, like another neural pathway.
Self-fulfilling prophecy kind of thing.
Right. So coming to the place of going, how do I live and not just, I think my takeaway for Christmas for all of us would be like, hey, give yourself a break and realize that you are a full human with a brain, a mind, a soul, a heart, a body, and that instead of just thinking you have to muscle your way or grip your way through something difficult, work on being good with the idea that you are whole. And that there are going to be things you're not good at yet. There's going to be relationships that aren't where they need to be yet. There's going to be opportunities to grow, right? To try to push yourself. And all of those are just a part of you as a person. And you don't have to suddenly be some mental health guru in a moment that the rest of your life hasn't caught up with. Mm-hmm. And you also don't have to over-spiritualize everything, but recognize, in my opinion, you can't over-spiritualize unless you use spiritual things as a distraction from reality. Right. Right. If you're not applying your spiritual things to reality, you're trying to claim reality to be different than it is, as opposed to saying, hey, I see what is, I accept it also. I believe that God's ways lead to growth and change, but I'm going to take the baby steps of those things. Because, by the way, guys, in the spiritual life, every step is a baby step. I really believe that. I'm like, if we're children of God, then every step is a child's step. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm not going to make some massive 2-mile stride in a day that doesn't exist. If I'm following Jesus and all the metaphors he gave, or to walk after him, it is a walk, which means I can only take today's step. Then it's going to feel small, but it's not small if I learn to I guess receive my humanity without judgment, because Jesus has already paid for the judgment, right? So I can now not excuse myself and all my bad patterns and all, but I can accept them for what they are and begin trying to create new patterns and recognize that there are a lot of tools out there in the therapy world and psychology world, and other things that will be helpful, but they're not going to override my humanity, and they're also not going to have to be separate from my spirituality if I access them correctly. That all truth is God's truth, and what God has given us in the spiritual world will prove to be beneficial in the psychological and physical world as well if we just live more holistically towards them. And there's a lot of big buzzwords there, but hopefully, Johnny, you'll do something with it and finally get out of your funk. I just can't take another Christmas like this with you.
I know. So. I'm sorry. I'm toxic. Just like we talked about before. But you've got to make amends, and then we'll talk.
I'm working on it. So.
Let's do my segments, John, to wrap up. Let's start with Johnny's old jokes. We call it Joke About That. John, when I get a headache, I take 2 aspirin and keep away from children, just like the bottle says. Hey, I never heard that one before. That one, yeah. That's pretty good. Kids. I sound like a person that I think people assume that I'm a person that doesn't like children because I don't have children. Right. But I actually do like children. They'd
be surprised to find out that it's true that you don't like children, but it's totally random.
John, a DEA officer stopped at a ranch in Texas and talked with an old rancher. He told the rancher, I need to inspect your ranch for illegally grown drugs. The rancher said, okay, but don't go in that field over there, as he pointed out the location. The DEA officer yelled, Mister, I have the authority of the federal government with me. Reaching into his rear pants pocket, the arrogant officer removed his badge and proudly displayed it to the rancher. See this badge? This badge means I'm allowed to go wherever I wish, on any land, no questions asked, any answers given. Have I made myself clear? Do you understand? The rancher nodded, politely apologized, went about his chores. A short time later, the old rancher heard loud screams, looked up, and saw the DEA officer running for his life, being chased by the rancher's big bull. With every step, the bull was gaining ground on the officer, and it seemed like that he'd sure enough be gored before he reached safety. The officer was clearly terrified. The rancher threw down his tools, ran to the fence, and yelled at the top of his lungs, Your badge! Show him your badge! I love that kind of joke, the whole, the authority or the elite gets kind of done over by the lowly farmer.
Yeah.
It's just kind of a funny type of joke, turning the tables. John, the monkey died in the zoo. Unfortunately, the zoo was unable to find a monkey for its exhibition, so it hired a guy to put a monkey suit on and take over the monkey duties. The guy did a great job. He was jumping around in the monkey cage until suddenly he fell out of the monkey cage and into the lion's den. He started to scream, help, help, as the lion ran towards him. When the lion finally came face to face with the monkey, he said, shut the heck up before you get us both fired. I've never heard any of those. Those are all That's three really new jokes that I'd never heard. That's funny stuff. John, let's move forward. This week in history, we call it Talk About Then. John, this week, 1965, A Charlie Brown Christmas.
Ooh.
The first in a series of Peanuts television specials. It debuted. The show featured characters created by Charles M. Schulz, of course, including Charlie Brown, Linus, Lucy, and of course, Charlie Brown's dog, Snoopy. Nearly half of the American households that had a television set tuned in to watch. That's crazy.
Wow.
Love it. I love hearing stuff like that when you're like, it's that thing of like, we're more divided than ever probably, if you count the number of people per capita, like how divided we feel. But when everybody was watching the same thing on television, I think that had a role to play. And like we all had something to talk about the next day that we shared in common, even if it was just around the water cooler. Anyway, the production costs exceeded its meager budget of $76,000 by $20,000. So it cost $96,000 to make, I guess. But it has earned millions as a seasonal staple of the Christmas television lineup. The special also killed, this is my favorite part, and that's why it makes the list. The special also killed the aluminum Christmas tree fad that had been popular since the late 50s. So this came out in 65. So people were moving to aluminum Christmas trees, evidently, between 1965 or 1950 to 1965. Within 2 years of the specials airing, with Charlie Brown insisting on a real and not fake tree, aluminum tree manufacturing had all but ceased. So it had this real mark on the culture.
Like economic,
because even though he had the tiny little horrible tree that was kind of like laughable, but it was authentic, and they were like, they could look over at their aluminum tree and go, we do have a fake awful tree, don't we? And it killed the aluminum tree industry.
Wow.
And a lot of people lost jobs, John. A lot of people
this is now the rest of the story.
Yeah.
Johnny's granddad worked in the aluminum tree mines. And
George Renninger was born this week, 1856. He was an American candy maker. He invented candy corn in the 1880s while working for the Wunderlich Wonderl Candy Company. That sounded spelled Wonderl. Began selling it in 1888. It was originally called Chicken Feed.
That's
because it looked,
I couldn't. In my mind, there was no way to make candy corn worse than it was.
They call
Just call it Chicken Feed. That
Love it or hate it, candy corn is now a Halloween staple after becoming a popular trick or treat candy in the 1950s. John, what do you think the worst candy is? Because obviously we're not candy corn people. Some people like the little pumpkins, but don't like candy corn. I think that's interesting. They like the big.
I don't know what it's called, but there used to be. It's like it reminds me of the color of the Cleveland Browns, orange.
Oh yeah,
and it's like just this
peanut butter.
I feel like it's peanut butter. I don't know what it is. I'm not sure.
The ones that are the black, the orange and black wrappers,
and those are
wax
just
paper.
Nasty.
Yeah, like, Tim Hawkins used to say it tastes like peanut butter and hair, burnt hair. Peanut butter and burnt hair.
Yes.
That's so funny.
They don't even have a name. I don't think they have a name.
And I don't know if they make those anymore. It's like when you used to go to your grandma's house and she would always have a dish of those strawberry candies.
Yeah.
That look like, the raw wrappers look like little strawberries.
Yeah.
Like, who bought those? They just appeared in those dishes.
Right.
You can't see, you don't find them.
No.
They were at grandma's house.
You know what? Those are Walgreens type candies.
Yeah.
Probably you get them at a drugstore.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Rexall. Revco. Rite Aid.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, I don't know. What's the most underrated candy, though? What do you think, like, doesn't get enough love? Because, like, people love hating on candy, but, like, what's the one where you go, like, this needs more press?
Rolos.
Rolos are good. You know what? I love 100 grand. 100 grand's a good candy.
Yeah. Yeah. I like a good, I do. I feel like Laura and I, we don't get candy bars very often.
Yeah.
But, like, she doesn't like a Milky Way.
Mm-mm.
No, wait. She doesn't like a Three Musketeers.
Really?
I love
too much.
Three Musketeers.
Oh, yeah, they're fluffy. I like the fluffiness.
And I eat all the chocolate off of the outside before I go.
That's weird.
I do some weird stuff with it.
Yeah, I don't know.
Just to savor it.
It feels lighter. As a candy bar, you feel like you're not being weighed down because it's so fluffy. But maybe people who really love chocolate are like, this isn't rich enough for me. It's not giving me enough of the...
I don't know.
It's just the center.
If you don't like Three Musketeers, I think something may be wrong with you. I mean, there's nothing really to go...
You just said something's wrong with your wife, but go ahead.
Yeah, okay.
Keep going. Yeah, ruin Christmas for
Merry
everybody.
Christmas, everyone.
John finally, born this week, 1936, the creator of the pet rock, Gary Dahl. He's an American entrepreneur. He created the pet rock in 1975. While sitting in a bar listening to people complain about their pets, he joked that he had the perfect pet, a rock. He invented this. It sold for $3.95 in 1970. It made him a millionaire. And the fad lasted about 6 months. So people were kind of buying this ironically.
Wow.
But the fad lasted long enough to make this guy a millionaire.
Why can't we do something like that? We have dumb ideas all the time that people would think are stupid. They could pay us for knowing it's stupid. Johnny, we got to... Some might say that's what we've done.
Speaking of stupid ideas you could pay for, John, how would you become a patron of the show?
Go to talkaboutthatpodcast.com.
Click on the upper right-hand link. That's how you get ad-free content. We love our patrons. Thanks so much for supporting the show. And we continue to keep growing in downloads and listens, so thanks for that. And make sure to share the show and, subscribe so that you get notified when a new episode comes out, all that good stuff.
It's been a particularly busy season, especially with Johnny's travel, and kind of busy on my end too. Thank you guys for being with us in it, because we get a lot of emails and stuff now.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, and we love hearing from you. We'll read some of those next week on the show, I promise, but we love hearing from you, so keep sending those. You can send an email to hello@talkaboutthatpodcast.com. Find tour dates of mine at johnnyw.com. We're getting ready to announce a big 48-city tour that's going to be nationwide in 2026, so I'm probably coming to your city. And it's going to be, I'm very excited. And so keep an eye out for that. I think that announcement goes out on the 15th and tickets will go on sale on the 19th for those dates of December.
It's exciting.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah. I'll be there.
Thank you, John.
Not the whole time.
Oh, no.
No.
You have a family.
I do. So, Hey, guys, thanks for the time you gave us today, man. Hope you're having a build up to a very Merry Christmas, and we'll see you next week here on
Talk About That.